In this demo, we will be creating a table, fresh, from no content. There are several ways to create a table in Word, and we'll start with the Insert ribbon up here at the top left, and the Tables button. By clicking the little arrow on the right-hand side, we get two options that we'll look at. The first is simply dragging across this grid of cells to create a table. You can see as I drag the mouse, little cells get highlighted or selected, and the words at the very top here change from insert table to 1 by 1, 2 by 1, and so forth. Just by clicking on the bottom right cell that I would like, that will insert a table of that width. The default is full width and one line, and you can play with that following the instructions in the formatting chapter of the book. Now we see that a table is on screen. We can see all of the borders or rules defining each cell. The table design ribbon has become visible, and there's also the layout ribbon specifically for tables. We discussed those in other videos. I'm going to undo that and show another way to create a table. We'll go back up to the Insert ribbon, click Table, and then go down to select Insert Table. This opens a dialog box where we can specify the number of columns and number of rows, the width, and default of whether the contents will auto-fit to the size of the cells. I'm going to add another row because I want a row for the headers, and click OK. Now we have a very similar table to what we saw before, and again the table design and table layout ribbons become visible. The final way to create a table is in that same place on the Insert ribbon. Click on the Table button, and Draw Table is the last version. Now we see my cursor has changed to a little pencil mark, and I can now draw the outline of the full table I would like. It has only one cell, no rows, and no other columns. The cursor is still in a pencil, so I can simply draw where I would like those columns and rows to be. You can see that just by dragging across, we get a full-length dashed line, and when I release the mouse, it becomes a row. Here we have a little cell that spans these two rows, and I can keep adding lines anywhere and in any orientation. That is vertical or horizontal. It doesn't do diagonal. It simply would create another box, another table within a table, and that's not what I want, so I'll click Undo. In the formatting chapter, you follow how to change the widths and the alignments and so forth of this, but this gives us a basic outline of a table. I can continue drawing lines that then line up with the other existing rows or create new ones. And as we learn in the formatting chapter, all of these are adjustable. This requires kind of a more visual thinking than the other two methods. For more tips on making the most of Word while you edit, drop in at eiw365.com or pick up the self-study workbook at the same place for more in-depth instruction and dozens more demos like this.